Phoenix Suns forward Markieff Morris unleashed against unhappy home fans, prompting the chicken or the egg question: what comes first? Team success or fan support? Should players expect unconditional love or is it earned? We welcome back Jesse Feret, Nick Macrozanaris, and Anthony Cornelli. He has some harsh things to say about the fans. Clearly someone who's very frustrated. Where do you draw the line with regards to the fan? Are they supposed to show unconditional support for their team?
I believe from my background, my soccer background, that fans should show an unconditional support for the team. I mean, I grew up watching my favorite team in Serie A, and you die for your team in Europe or in South America or any soccer culture. You bleed for your team. You go to war every week at the stadium for your team. And I don't believe we have that type of culture in North America. You can look at the example of the Expos. I was a diehard Expos fan. Results weren't there, fans stopped coming, money wasn't there, team leaves. And that happens often.
So you think this is a cultural thing, more than anything else?
I think it's a little bit more, I don't want to, it's a very touchy subject.
But they're pretty hard though. In Europe, they're pretty hard too. I mean, a couple of the guys will be very critical. I think, and I agree with you to a certain degree, that the fans in Europe very often, especially if we speak about football or soccer, they're critical I mean, they're really critical of their teams, but they won't give up on the team. No. They won't bash the team. And you do see a little bit more of that in North America. But on the flip side, sports business, it is sports entertainment, right? These guys are athletes. They're paid millions of dollars. And a lot of these guys will get annoyed. A lot of the fans will get annoyed with the slightest of things, especially in this Twitter era that we live in too, right?
Of course. I mean, you see the situation with the Suns. Excuse me. You see the same thing all the time with the Leafs fans throwing their jerseys and everything. I mean, they just did it at the Bell Center. They can't do it at home anymore. They're doing it at the Bell Center. I mean, if you're making the conscious choice to purchase a ticket to go watch your team play, I personally think you should have their back. You should back them up. But at the same time, you also purchase the right to express your opinion.
Were you more bothered with the way that he wrote it? I mean, the way that the message was delivered, or was it the actual message itself?
I personally don't even have anything against what he said, to be honest with you. I mean, someone has to do it. I mean, you kind of expect a lot from your team.
Right.
As a fan, I figure you expect a lot from your fans to have your back. You know, I mean, I think it goes both ways.
Right, but at the same time, if the fans paying their hard-earned dollars, right? You go to a hockey game, you take a family out to a hockey game right now. Hockey's a perfect example. It's supposed to be the national sport. Father of two can barely take his family out to a hockey game if you're middle class working a 9 to 5. If you don't want to be sitting in the grandstands right at the top, but. Do they not have the fair share? Do they not have the right to say, you know what, I'm paying for this. I'm paying good money. This is not about it being affordable anymore. This is a luxury for me to come here, and I want to show. I want a good product on the ice.
I think the fan has the right to do whatever he wants, right? If he feels that the players are not playing to their potential and he feels like throwing their jerseys onto the ice, it's good for them, you know?
Yeah, but what about the athletes, though? Should they, do the athletes have the right to be
If the
upset
athlete's
about that?
making a couple $1 million a year and he has a hard time dealing with that, then he should stop playing the sport, you know?
Would you ever criticize, would you ever come out and criticize a fan like that? If, for example, you're at a track meet and the fans are not supportive of you because Canada's not done well in the last X amount of world championships,
you know,
and they're not supporting you, they're coming out and they're saying, you know what, Nick, we want change. We don't want you to be the go-to guy.
Well, for me, it didn't bother me at all because I'm there to do my best. And if the fan wants to kind of bash me, which happened many, many times.
Did you ever retaliate?
Absolutely not. You know what I mean? I'm doing my best. And the fan, if he thinks I'm not doing it, he could cheer for the guy next to me.
With regards to the actual players coming out that way and calling out the fan, we've seen James Dolan, we've seen a few owners come out, and the way that they're doing it, I think one of the things that bothers them is the actual message, is the way that they're delivering the message, right? Not a lot, you're starting to see Kevin Durant do that more and more with trying to retaliate back to the fans. It seems like it's getting under the skin a little bit more, but ultimately, you know, the team needs to perform. You have to deliver, or else the fans have the right to complain.
I agree, but there's nothing worse than coming home from a long road trip. Maybe the road trip didn't go the way you wanted to. You lost 2-3 games on the road. Yeah. You're coming home to the comfort of your home court advantage or your home field advantage, whatever sport you're playing on, and you don't have the fans backing you day in and day out. You're going to say, you know, we just came off a 3-game road streak. We're coming home. What pushes the athlete besides the $1 million in the Rolex and the Bentley to go out and get those wins?
It's a privilege to play for the Montreal Canadiens, right? And if the fans are bashing you, it shouldn't bother you. You know?
So you think it's a professional standpoint? You think it's a lack of professionalism
absolutely.
from the
Just
athlete.
like in any job, if you're getting bashed at because you're not performing, you know, it's part of the game. It's part of the job. They signed up for that, you know.
Yeah, but athletes are already hard on themselves as is. I mean, if you're making all the money and in the world, sometimes you might say that they're only playing for the salary. But at the same time, you'll see a lot of guys who are They're working hard out there. They want to win. They even say we're not trying to lose out here. And then if you don't have your fan support, I mean, it's kind of hard to even care when you're at home. You got other fans coming and filling up your building. I mean, you're not playing for anything. You're playing for the fans, but are you though? Like,
you two definitely have my support as we continue on here on Read Between the Lines. Don't go anywhere. There's a lot more sports talk happening right here on Read Between the Lines. Don't want to miss it.
Read Between the Lines is brought to you by Diadora. Available at diadora.com.